All right, welcome to week 2, day 2. We're going to be doing damage taking and damage dealing today in a health system. It's fine. I just started the recording over because people are asking questions, and I like answering questions. But I want to focus this video on doing damage. Okay, so I made this ball here. I dragged out a under starter content, props, material preview mesh. I dragged a couple materials on there, and then clicked on the blueprinty thing. Where are you at? Right there. And then saved it into the build directory and called it Centrigun BP. And now you're caught up. Okay. So coming back into here, you can see the viewport. It's got a little preview on it. And we're here. So what we want to do, right now we're just going to make a target dummy. It's not going to shoot us. It's called a sentry gun. We're going to make it a sentry gun later. For now, we're just going to be able to shoot it. Okay. So none of these things matter right now, so I'm going to delete those. And I'm going to do an event called event damage and event any damage in particular. So right click and choose event any damage. Okay. And so this event will occur anytime the player damages the object. Actually, technically, anything could damage the object. Like monkeys could damage it. It doesn't matter. Anytime somebody says, do damage to this object, this event is going to trigger. And so for right now, all we're going to do is print string, right? And we're just going to have it print oof. Okay. And if we run the game, you will see it doesn't say oof when we run into it, right? So we're currently not doing any damage to the sentry gun at all. So we need to figure out a way of doing damage. Now, there's maybe 3 different ways that I can think of to do damage, and I'll let you pick. We can make it do damage when we run into it. So like when the player touches the sentry gun, it takes damage. We could make it so the player has a Hitscan weapon, so that you shoot a line through the world, and every time you hit the sentry gun, it takes damage. Or we can do a projectile weapon. So like a rocket launcher. You click, a projectile appears, and it flies through the world. And each of these is going to involve a significant diversion. So we're gonna come back to this thing taking damage because we need to now switch over into inflicting damage. But taking damage is basically a matter of making the event any damage thing, and we're going to make a variable called health. And basically, what we're going to do, yeah, I'll just show you. So it's all in one place. We're going to make a variable. Click on the little plus here, and that variable is going to be of type float, and the variable name is going to be health. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start off with like 100 health. And how do we set the default health? Well, right here it says please compile the blueprint, right? So we compile, hit save, and now we can edit the default value to be 100. Again, compile and save. And so what we're going to do is every time we take damage, we are going to get our current health. You do that by dragging it out, selecting get health. So we get our current health. And then we're going to subtract off how much damage. So we're going to drag from the green pin here, type minus. So if our current health is 100, and we take, just get rid of that for now, I guess. So if our current health is, line up, please. If our current health is 100, and we take 20 damage, then it's going to take 100 minus 20, and this is going to produce 80. And so that is going to be set health. And another way you can do that is just by dragging health onto that pin there. And then it's going to set the health to be that value. And of course, it's not lined up. There we go. Okay. And then you have to hook up the white pins. The white pin is the flow of execution. So what's going to happen is if we take 20 damage, our health is at 100. 100 minus 20 is 80. And then it's going to set our health to be 80. So every time we take damage, our health will drop by that much. That's as much as I kind of want to get into right now, and then maybe we can print string. Maybe we'll print our health afterwards. So if you drag the new health over here, you'll see it converts from a float to a string for you automatically. So as we damage it, we're going to see in the top left corner, if we're shooting it for 10 life at a time, it'll go like 90, 80, 70, 60, 20, 10, 0, -10, -20, -30, because there's no death code, right? But this is good enough for now. So this is how you take damage. And comment. This is how you take damage. If you want to comment something, by the way, just select everything, hit C. C for comment. There's shortcuts for everything in Unreal Engine. And just like in the previous thing that I've now deleted, there is a thing that I found that has various shortcuts for like snapping options and things like that. Snap to vertex turns out to be pretty useful. And so, like a student was asking, like, how do you get this door to line up properly? Well, if you hold down V and drag, it'll actually snap right into place like that. So as it's moving around, it'll just bloop, like it'll snap to one edge, and then right into place. That way you don't have to like get up into its face and like make centimeter, millimeter adjustments. Holding down V and dragging, super useful. Okay. So that's, yeah, that shortcut there. You select everything, hit C, and it makes a comment for it. So you can kind of explain what you're doing. And that's, we're going to pause that for now. Now, we're going to switch over to, nobody said anything? I gave you 3 options. You got to say on chat. You got to let me know what you want to see. You know, this class is your class. You know, you tell me what you want to learn, and I'll give it to you. Do you want to damage the player by the player touching the player? The player touching the center gun? By the player shooting with a Hitscan weapon? Or by making a projectile weapon? We can do any of those 3 that you want. Maybe we could do a radius weapon like a grenade or something like that too. You want it to attack the player? No. We're attacking the target right now. The same code's going to work on the player, but for now we're just going to have it take damage. So we're just going to shoot it, and we're going to make it so that when it drops to 0 health, it's going to explode and remove itself. The player is actually slightly more complicated, because if you delete the player, the game kind of freezes. Right? Hitboxes, projectile. So do you want hit scan? Like a bullet? Right? Or do you want to make a rocket launcher or something like that? Nail gun. I don't know what option 2 is. I've forgotten by now. Projectile, hit scan. Cuevas, Perez, Tashler, Buse. What do you want to learn? I'll show you whatever you want to learn. Andrew Buse, you there? Online? You're live? This is the trouble with online learning. Like, you could be like getting a peanut butter and jelly sandwich right now. It's hard to say. All right. So of the people that are online, it looks like we have a vote of learning anything. Okay. Vote of 2 to 1. We'll do projectile weapons. Okay. So let's just set this aside for now. And let's learn how to make a projectile weapon. So we can do hit scan next. They're both things that are really important. Basically, if you know how to do hit scan, projectile, and like radius, like a grenade or something like that, that kind of covers everything. You know, like, yeah, that kind of covers like pretty much all the weapons in video games ever, right? Maybe like, yeah, and maybe like touch, like, you know, like a Goomba runs into you or something. Making a hit scan weapon sounds cool, but learning it literally, whatever is okay. All right. You want to punch the enemy? Punching the enemy, in this case, would probably be hit scan, right? You hit a button and it does a little hit scan in front of you. It's just a short range bullet. You know. All right, we'll do a projectile. All right, so open up BP third person character. This is, again, like your main. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a, we're going to learn 3 things. Okay. We're going to learn how to make a keybind, which is really important. We're going to learn how to make a projectile, really important. And how to make the projectile travel in the direction that we're looking, which is also important. So these are going to be the 3 big learning points for today. I'm going to write these down so that you have a list of everything you're expected to know for today. So this is fall. Okay. I'll make a new page, and this is like damage systems. Yeah. So taking damage. Yeah, I'm just gonna type this. I'll write it out. Taking damage involves the target having a event any damage event trigger and reducing its health by that amount. Pretty easy. And then like that or something. Creating a projectile weapon involves three things. Making a keybind for attack. So like clicking the mouse or hitting E or whatever, like you have to have a keybind, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like if you're making a video game, like at some point you have to say like when the user presses Y, do something, right? Like I said on the first week of class, game programming is very event driven. In this case, the event is going to be the person hitting like the A button or clicking the mouse or hitting the E key or something like that. Do you guys understand what I'm getting at here? Like you have to bind, like you have to make a keybind, basically. And these things are usually configurable in games. Although sometimes, games don't allow you to reconfigure them, and those are really annoying. Okay, so you have to make a keybind to attack, and then we're going to make a projectile, and then moving the projectile in the direction you're looking, and then like making it deal damage when it hits something. Okay. It's like you make like a, I don't know, like a nail gun. You create a nail in front of you, it flies in the direction you're looking. When it touches something, it inflicts damage on it. Okay, so that's the 4 steps we'll be going over today. All right, so step 1, make a keybind. So there is a place where you make all of the keybinds in your game. Like right here, you can see there's input action jump, right? That's currently bound to space, right? If you play the game, you hit space, here he jumps, okay? So somehow in the code, when the user hits space, it calls this thing right here. When they press space, it jumps. When they let go of space, it stops jumping, okay? If you used a touch interface, like tapping it would probably do the same thing. I don't use touch, so I'm just going to delete that because who cares? All right. I'm a PC gamer, not a mobile developer. Okay, so let me show you where all of that is found. It is found under Edit, Project Settings, Input. Edit, Project Settings, Input. And this is where all of the keybinds can be found. You have to click on the little thing here if it's hidden. And you can see, and click on that. And you click on the drop downs to get more details. And you can see the different keybinds that they have right now. So I'm going to delete the gamepad. Whatever. So you can see right now spacebar is bound to event jump. Okay. And if I were to like change this to like jumpy or something like that, then in BP third person character, you can see my warning, unknown action jump. Okay, fine. Let me change it back. You can see that stopped working, right? Because it wasn't called jump anymore. So, okay, so we've got a key binding for jump, and then we've got WASD over here for move forward and backwards. You can see W is forwards, S is backwards, A is left, D is right. Look, with the mouse left and right, mouse up and down. So these are where all of your key bindings are found. We're going to make a new key binding called attack. Okay. So if you click on the little plus with a circle around it right here. We're going to make a new action called attack. Okay. And we are going to bind this to mouse, left mouse button. Okay. And there's actually a faster way of doing that. If you see the little icon here, if you click on that and like, I don't know, right click or something, it'll actually do the binding for you. So you don't, for a mouse, it doesn't really matter that much, but like if you're trying to bind it to like the E key, if you search for like E, like you get all these things, right? It's kind of like, where's the, there it is, there's the E key. And so it's actually much faster to just be like, I'm going to bind it to J. So you click on the little icon and then click or press the key or whatever, and it captures that binding for you. It's actually quite nice. This was added about a year ago, I think, and it actually made that a lot easier because like trying to hunt for like one key when there's like 50 hit results is like sort of irritating. So we're going to bind this left mouse button. You don't have to. You can bind it to anything you want. Whatever makes you happy. Save all. And are we going to do anything else right now with key bindings? Aim down sights. Maybe we can have attack and like attack 2. So maybe we can do like attack as like a hit scan and attack 2 as like a projectile. What do you think? I mean, as long as we're here, you know. Or maybe we can do that later. What do you think? What do you feel like? Don't just be silent on Discord. This is an audience participation question. Do it. Do it now. Get in the chopper. All right. Attack 2. All right. That'll be bound to right mouse button. Okay, so I clicked on the plus here to add, plus here to make a new action, and then I clicked here and right clicked. And so now I've got 2 new events that can trigger. Remember, when you do game development, everything comes from an event almost always. Okay? And so what we're going to do is say when the user clicks, do something. All right? So this is what your thing should look like. I'm going to go ahead and save it again. Close out of project settings and come up here and compile that again. Good. Okay, we're back in business. Now I'm going to come down here and I'm going to just say event attack. And you can see those keybinds that we made, they now appear on the list here. It's really nice. And so when the user left clicks, it'll do this. And when the user right clicks, the event attack 2 will do that. So which one do you want to be hit scan, left click? Which one do you want to be projectile, right click, or the other way around? What do you feel like? We'll do both eventually. So what makes more sense to you? A hit scan weapon on left click? It kind of makes that sense to me, right? Like usually like, you're like left clicking, and then like right click, you like throw a grenade or something, or like fire a rocket launcher. I don't know. Are you guys with me on that? Like maybe left click is hit scan, right click is projectile? Or do you want the other way around? Well, DinoFan's the only person saying anything, so DinoFan gets what he wants. All right. So this will be hit scan weapon, and this is coming soon. We'll do projectile first. This will be a projectile weapon. Okay, so all right. So we need to first make the projectile. Maybe I'm gonna change my mind. I'm actually gonna do hit scan first. All right. Because to make a projectile weapon, you have to make a rocket, and that's just like one extra step that we'll do that next time. Okay. Hit scan's gonna be a little easier, just because you don't have to make another blueprint for like the rocket, and then you have to program the rocket to like explode when it touches something. We'll do hit scan. It's easier. So, do you all understand, first of all, what a hit scan weapon is? Like what that terminology means? See if there's any good pictures of it. I don't see any good illustrations. But thanks, I hate it. So Hitscan means that it doesn't actually make a bullet. Instead, what it does is it just draws a line from your gun straight ahead through the world until it hits something. And then if it hits something that could take damage, it damages it. Okay? No actual physical bullet is made. And usually they're in a straight line. Fancy things like Sniper Elite will actually have curved hit scans and things like that. But okay, so we'll do hit scan. All right. So when we click, we want to draw an invisible line through the world, right? We want to have an invisible line start at our location and go in the direction we're looking for, like, how far do you think our weapon should go? You tell me. You design it. Let's make a variable for the range, actually. So we'll make a variable here called range of type float. Compile and save. How far do you think our click should go? 100 meters. Okay. There you go. Remember, all the numbers in Unreal Engine are centimeters, so this is 100 meters. So a football field, a bit longer than a football field, right? Okay, so we'll just save that. Keep that in our back pocket. All right, here we go. So when we click, we're going to do what's called a line trace. Okay, and it's quite a lot bigger. And let's just select these and line them up, and then line them up. I guess I like my blueprints looking nice. Okay, so here we go. So line trace by channel. This is one of the most important things you need to know when doing game development. Tracing. Tracing and touching and thinking are the 3 T's that make games. A trace, a touch, and a think. A trace means you draw an invisible line through the world and see what you hit. So like in StarCraft, you click the mouse button, it drops an invisible line from the heavens. Oh, I touched a Protoss unit. It's selected now. Traces are everywhere in video games. The other thing is touch. You touch something, have it take damage. All right, pretty easy. And the third thing is thinking. So every 5 seconds, take damage. Right? Or if you want to do health regeneration, every 5 seconds, heal 10 life or something. That's it. Touch, trace, and think. That is basically everything there is to make games interactive. And here is tracing. So what does this mean? Starting at the Velociraptor, ending at the Velociraptor, anything that blocks visibility, which is like, that, for example, or that. See what we hit. So is this what we want? Is this good code? Do we want to have, every time we click, do we want to shoot a laser beam from 000 to 000 and tell us what we hit? Are we done? Yeah, I don't think we're done. All right. So where should the bullets start? What do you think? What location should the bullet start at? If we're playing the game, we're running around, we're clicking. Right now it's shooting the Velociraptor or whatever. Where should the bullet start at? The player location. Okay, that works for me. So how do we get the player location? Well, all right. Here we got this thing over here. Arrow component, camera boom. Maybe the mesh, except forward on the mesh is that way. Maybe the arrow. None of these is exactly where I want the bullet to come out of, right? So like if we had the bullet come out of the player, it's actually going to come out of the pivot point, which is like way down there. So you're going to be shooting out of your feet. So the arrow here means you're going to be kind of shooting out of your thigh. It's also going to look kind of weird. Maybe the thing here, or like where do you think the bullet should come from? The eyeball? Maybe your Cyclops from like X-Men, right? Maybe out of your like Iron Man kind of thing. Like you tell me. Like literally, I want you to tell me where where you think the bullets should come from. Iron Man style? Oh, all right. So how do we figure out what point this is? Let me show you a trick. So I'm going to click on the mesh here, right? So that's the mesh is like the model, the 3D model, right? It's a skeletal mesh. It's got skeleton stuff going on. It doesn't really matter right now. And I want to add like a named point to it. So I'm going to click on add. And I'm going to click on add. I'm going to choose point. No, not point light. Let's see, what do we got? Target. What's it called? Well, the target point in the world. We just add an arrow, I guess. That'll work. Yeah, we'll just add a scene component. That's probably the easiest way of doing it. Okay, so what I did was I clicked on the mesh, and then I'm going to click on the green arrow here and choose to add a scene component to it. And so what you're going to see is that scene component is like, it doesn't have any, it doesn't like draw at all. Like it just is. Let's see, shoot, there we go. Okay. And red, by the way, is forwards, okay? So do you see how it's kind of like indented a little bit off the mesh? What that means is that if I were to like move the mesh, that scene component moves with it. Do you see that? So the scene component is what's called as parented to the mesh. So wherever our person here moves, this thing is going to move with it, and we want the red arrow. The red arrow is forwards, by the way. So I'm just going to kind of sit here and just kind of like move it around a little bit and just kind of get it to the spot in 3D space where I want the bullet to come out of. There's actually a slightly better way of doing this that actually sockets it to the skeleton, so that as like the skeleton moves, like you see how the skeleton's kind of like moving a little bit, this would move with it. I kind of don't want this because like I don't want, like if the animation is doing this, I actually don't want the bullets coming like in a different direction. So I actually kind of like it this way. But so do you understand what I'm doing? Like I clicked on the mesh, I clicked on add, I clicked on scene, and I'm essentially just kind of labeling space. I'm gonna drop my camera speed down to 1 so I can do more fine-grained manipulation here. It's a little bit high. And that looks pretty good to me. Maybe it's not quite straight. Yeah. Rotate it. What do you think? That look about right? So remember, red is forwards. So it's the x-axis. That look pretty good? You guys like that? So our shots are going to be kind of coming out that way. Yeah. So I added a scene component, compile, save. And by doing this, I'm going to be able to, and I can name this. I'm going to call this like shooting location thing. I don't know. And so that's useful. Like anytime I need to refer to the point that the laser beam is going to come out of me, I'm just going to refer to shooting point. That's my starting point. Okay, compile, save. And then I'm going to hop back into the event graph here. And I'm going to drag out shooting location to here. So I drag that out. And I'm going to drag from it and say get location. I'm going to get it to world location. All right. And then that is going to be my start location. So what we have right here is when we do the line trace, it's going to shoot a Hitscan weapon starting at this point in space right here. This is a really clever way of labeling a point in space, right? You could do it in other ways. You could like, you know, start at this spot here and then add like 150 centimeters up. Like, there's different ways of doing it, but I just kind of like doing it this way because it makes it really easy. So I'm just like, get wherever this is in space, get its location. That's where the bullet's going to start. Okay? And it's going to ignore myself. So if the bullet happens to hit myself, it's just going to go right through. That's cool. Shooting yourself is always very awkward. Yeah. And then the ending location. So remember what I said. The ending location is going to be in the direction we're looking, right? So whatever direction we're looking, it's going to go 100 meters in that direction. So prepare yourself for a little bit of math, okay? So the ending location, let's see if I can draw it visually here. Okay. So if this is our starting location, and this is the direction we're looking, this is like what's called your forward. Your forward vector is the direction you're looking. So let's say we're looking in that direction. So what we want to do is figure out the ending point. The ending point is going to be our starting point. It's going to be our starting point plus the direction we're looking times the range. The direction we're looking is a 1 centimeter long. It's a unit vector. So the direction we're looking is called forward. It's 1 centimeter long, and it's pointing in the direction that we're looking. And so what we're going to do, our ending location is our starting location plus the direction we're looking times, what was it, 10,000 or something? And so that's going to give us an ending point 100 meters away in the direction we're looking. Does this make sense to you? This is about as hard the math gets in this class, by the way. So, like you have to start somewhere. And, if I was looking in this direction, then the ending point would be like over here somewhere. If I was looking up here, it'd be like up here somewhere. Okay. And so let's do this in Unreal. So here we go. All right, so we have to compute the ending location. So the ending location is the start location plus range. Okay. So here's our start location. Our starting location plus. Oh, sorry. That's our starting location. That's the object. So this is our starting location right here. Plus, and then we need to get our forward vector. So that get forward. So this is the direction we're looking. This thing's kind of like, make this not look quite so awkward. So the direction we're looking times the range. And that is our ending location. So our ending location is equal to our starting location plus the direction we're looking times the range. The bigger the range, the further away the ending point is. And that is how you do a hit scan button. Simple as that. Okay. Now all we have to do is figure out what we hit. All right. So that's a line trace. This is, like I said, this is about as hard as this class gets. If you understand this, then you're going to be fine for the rest of the class. Okay. So that's doing the line trace. Now we just need to see what happened. Okay. So did we hit something? I don't know. Let's find out. So let me show you a little trick. This pin here, this holds all of the information about the hit. So it gives you a lot of information. So if you like shoot the ground or something, it'll tell you you shot the ground. If you shot a person, it doesn't just tell you, the name of the person you hit, but like what bone on the person you hit. Like it gives you, time is like 0 to 1, like how far away was it? 1 is 100% away, 0 is like it didn't go anywhere. And so like if you want to have your gun do less damage based on, like, have any of you played like Overwatch or something like that? It's like the hit scan weapons do full damage up to a certain range, and then they have fall off, so they do like less damage beyond like a certain range, and that's what this would do. So you can say like if time is like 0.8, then it does half damage or something. So that means it went 80% of the way out before it hit something. So there's a lot of information here. We're gonna have to move this down even further, and there's a lot of information here. Now there's a little shortcut, a little minor shortcut, and that's to right click on this and split Struct Pin. You can do this for like a lot of things, and you'll see me do this a lot. Anytime you have a really complicated pin like that, I like to split it, and then all the output appear like right there. It doesn't do anything different, but you don't have to have a separate node for it to do it. One other thing is we want to turn draw debug on for a duration. Okay. What does that mean? I'll show you. Look. Ooh, it's not getting our forward vector correctly. Why is it so flaky? Interesting. Why is it so laggy? Interesting. I think it's because I'm clicking on my face. So I think, and so that's why you put on draw debug, because if you don't have it on, you're going to be mightily confused when these things aren't working right. So it draws a little red square when it hits something, and then it becomes green past that point. So red means the trace line is hot, and then green means that's where it would have gone had it not hit something. So we got a problem here. And the problem is that probably it's not rotating. It's probably not rotating this shooting location properly. Like I said, it's not actually attached to the mesh. And so even though the mesh is in a different direction, it doesn't rotate properly. So maybe we can grab it from the camera. Maybe we can grab the camera's forward. I'll try that. So rather than the starting location's forward vector, we will drag out the camera, and we'll get the direction the camera's looking. And so this is why draw debug is so useful. Like, you need to make sure that your trace lines are going in the right direction, and it helps if you can see it. So let's see. So not great. It's like kind of down, right? Because the camera, it's following the camera, not the not the direction of the person. Okay. That's not a super good approach either. So let's see, what else could we do? We can get the forward vector of the mesh. But if you look at this, the mesh is actually not pointed in the forward direction. Right? The x-axis is the forward direction. The mesh is actually rotated improperly. And this is because a lot of 3D editing software uses the y-axis as forward, and some use the x-axis as forward. And so they probably imported this from a tool. They used the y-axis forward, and they just didn't fix it. So if we want to get the forward vector of this mesh, we're actually going to have to take this one here. And that is mesh. Drag out the mesh. And we're going to get the right vector, which kind of hurts my brain. Hurts my brain a little bit. It makes me a little bit sad to do this, but that's actually the forward vector, because you can see here the green. So the red is the forward vector, green is the right vector, and blue is the up vector. So if you ever want to get which way is above me, which way is to the right of me, you can do this. It's literally because they probably imported it using a different tool. So let's see how that works. Okay, that's looking pretty good. That's looking pretty good. And you can see it's kind of coming out of the right spot, like a little bit in front of us, right? And it'll draw for 5 seconds by default. So if I click, you see that? It's maybe a little bit off center, but whatever. Okay, you understand? So it's really important to make sure that you turn on draw debugging when you're doing trace lines, because like you can see, like it doesn't always work the way you think. If you shot it out of the forward vector, your laser beams would be going sideways, right? Okay. Questions? This is a really important tool. Why are you not focusing? Like blurry right now. No questions? What about from everyone else that's being really quiet on the Discord right now? This is why I like in person better. So you can actually like, all right, make this, and then you can see if they actually got it or not. Like I said, the math here is as hard as the math gets this semester. I'll screenshot this for you so that you can replicate it at home. Because guess what you're going to be doing for your homework? You're going to be making a weapon. If you need a lot of help, even if you're stuck on the video, you should get help from the Help Center. Yeah, just post a question on there, and I'll help you, or somebody else will help you. There's a lot of people that have taken IS 50 at this point. I got kind of lost, but I like watching first and rewatching the recording. Yeah, it's nice having recordings. When I was in person, students were like, "Did you make a recording?" I'm like, "I just lectured it." Like you want me to lecture twice, And so I was like typing up a lot of notes and things like that. One of the nice things about an online class is that everything's recorded. You just rewind and play it whenever you want. Okay, so now that we've done our line trace, whenever we get one of those little red squares, that's a hit, right? And so now we need to do something once we've hit something, right? And so coming out here, this returns true if we hit something. Okay, so we'll drag this into a branch. Did we hit something? If we hit something, then let's damage them. Okay. So how much damage should our laser beam do? The target has 100 health. What do you think? 10, 20, 100, 1,000, 1? Wait a minute. 15. Okay. So we will make a new variable here. Click there. Called laser beam damage. Can't set the default right now. Compile. Save. Now we can set the default. And we're going to set it to 15. All right. And so how do we do damage? Well, as it turns out, there is something called apply damage. And so we've looked at the other half, right? Before when we made that target dummy. This is how you apply damage. Who do we damage? The person we hit. Output hit actor. Out hit actor. Output hit actor. Yeah. So that person is going to take damage. How much damage? 0. Take laser beam damage and drag it on top of that pin there. And now our laser beam is going to do 15 damage to whichever person we hit. Okay. Technically, I think if we don't have this branch, it'll work anyway, because output hit actor will be set to null, and if you apply damage to null, it won't do anything. I think we could probably delete that, but whatever. Okay, and yeah, we can ignore the rest of it for now. These things are useful, like who gets credit for the kill, right? If you've ever played a video game like Call of Duty or something like that, when you kill somebody, you get a point, right? You get a frag. On the scoreboard, it shows how many kills you got. And so when you do this, the damage causer is me, right? So, if you want, you can do that. So that you get credit for the kill, although there's no scoreboard or anything like that right now. But, there you go. And that's also me. I instigated this, but whatever. Okay. Good enough. Then you have different damage types. Like you could have like fire damage or lightning damage or cold damage, acid damage. If you've ever played like Borderlands or a role-playing game, you can have like fire resistance or lightning resistance or vulnerability. And so you can do all that kind of stuff here. We're not going to mess with any of that. We're just doing damage. And so we're done. That's it. If I hop back over into Sentry Gun, yeah. So this is going to inflict damage. This is going to take damage, and its health is going to be decremented by however much damage we took. It's going to set its new health to the new value, and then print the result. So let's try it out. Okay, so if we're like shooting random things, they don't have one of those functions. They don't have one of those events that cause it to take damage. So it just does nothing, right? So if you try inflicting damage on something that doesn't have the event on damage, nothing happens. It's fine. It's very safe. In Quake, if you tried damaging the world, it would crash. It would crash the game. So you had to make very careful that the thing that you're trying to damage could actually take damage, or it would literally crash the server. It didn't. I like this system better, where like if you just try damaging the wall, it just doesn't do anything. But if we shoot here, look, 85 life left. Look, 70 life. There we go. We got a life system. We got damage. Okay. Just have to do death now. See you, Teschler. Yeah, like a kill feed, right? And so, who gets credit for the kill? It'll usually say something like so-and-so using a grenade killed so-and-so. So-and-so used an AK-47 killed so-and-so. And that's why you have this damage causer here, right? So the damage causer is the thing that caused the damage, like the grenade, and the event instigator is the person that gets credit for it. So something like that. You don't have to do those, and in fact, I'm going to delete them off because we don't have a score system, right? So I'm going to delete them off. If you want to put them in yourself, you can rewind the video. It looks kind of like that, self as a damage causer, get controller, self as the instigator. But I'm just going to delete that, keep things simple because they're not, we don't have a frag system, so we can do that later. Okay, so we're done. That's it for a Hitscan weapon. Yeah, you draw an invisible line through the world, and if you hit something, then damage them. And like I said, I think we don't even need that. I think we just do this. Because if you don't hit anything, then if you don't hit anything, then the output hit actor is null, and so it just doesn't do anything. So that's an even simpler way of doing it. Like I said, in Quake, though, it would literally crash the server if you tried damaging the world. So, all right. Okay. And you can obviously adjust the damage by adjusting this value here. Yeah. Okay. Next up is death. Okay. So death. All right. When should the sentry gun die? If I had to make an if statement, is it dead? What thing means it's dead? How do we tell if the thing's dead? What do you think? Have a crush-tastic day. How do we know when it's dead? What do you think? What should I put here? When it explodes. It doesn't explode, right? Like right now, it just takes damage. It never dies. So when should it die? Once it gets hit by every ounce of firepower the U.S. military has to offer. When? When should we do the death code? What condition needs to be true here? $200 hit points lost. Okay, so you want to have its health be 200 then. Okay, so the answer I was looking for is when their health becomes less than or equal to 0. Okay, so when their health becomes less than or equal to 0, then they dead. Okay. So when they die, we will like do a particle effect or something. So we'll spawn an emitter for like explosion at our location. So I dragged the status. I probably don't need to do that. I could probably drag out from here and just say get location for the static mesh component. That would probably, yeah, that'd work too. Or the actor location, either way. Should be fine. Okay. So when our health is less than or equal to 0, then we do an explosion. Probably play a sound. Location. And then get everybody on board here. You can fit in there. All right. And then we'll just destroy the actor. Okay. And that's it. Does that make sense? So like when our health reaches less than or equal to 0, then we display a little projectile, like a little particle effect at our location. We play a sound at our location, and then we remove ourselves. That's it. That's death. Bruh. I can make lots of these guys out here.
Bruh. 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 Bruh.
Bruh. Bro. Yeah. Making games is fun.
Bruh. 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 Bruh.
And there you go. There you go. So let me screenshot this off for you. So that is our, this is on the player. Centrigun. Any questions about this? So that's kind of about it, really. So making a keybind to attack. Oh yeah, we didn't do a projectile. We did a hit scan. Let's make a new note for hit scan. Like on top of it. Like on top of the illustration. Okay, so that is that's basically our lecture for today. I'm going to give you the rest of the class to work on this. Your job is to make a Hitscan weapon. Okay, make some sort of enemy to be destroyed. Make a door that could be destroyed. Right? Like maybe since that front door doesn't open at all over here, maybe you have to shoot it to break in. Okay. So your key doesn't work, you just smash the front door down, right? Like this is just how it works. So make your chairs destructible. Right now your chairs are destructible if you touch them, Samantha, right? So maybe make it so that they have an event on damage, and when they take like a certain amount of damage, they blow up also. And then, when we get to like radius damage and like projectiles and things like that, you just stick a dynamite in, and then all this stuff just like detonates and stuff like that. Okay. So that's basically our lecture for today. You got half an hour to work on it. I will be hanging out, answering questions. All right. Peace out.